Okay, so shout out to my friend Lampshadius for sending me this quote here from Alice Bailey, and it kind of sent me off on a crazy little rabbit trail, but not terribly shocking, but still, it's always amazing how so often you can find things just being, laid out in black and white, all, having been there for years and years, and we just stumble upon them, and it was never really hiding. But, so he sent me this quote from Alice Bailey talking about the ancient mysteries. I'm just going to read back about a paragraph here. These ancient mysteries were originally given to humanity by the hierarchy, and were in their turn received by the hierarchy from the Great White Lodge on Sirius. So even back then, they more or less believed that the hierarchy are aliens. They contain the clue to the evolutionary process, hidden in numbers and in words. They veil the secret of man's origin and destiny, picturing for him in rite and ritual the long, long path which he must tread. They provide also, when rightly interpreted and correctly presented, the teaching which humanity needs in order to progress from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real, and from death to immortality. There it is, it's all right there. That's the Luciferian belief system in a nutshell. What they believe they have in the mysteries. But check this out. The mysteries will be restored in other ways also, for they contain much besides that which the Masonic rites can reveal, or that religious rituals and ceremonies can disclose. They contain within their teaching and formulas the key to the science that will unlock the mystery of electricity. Though much progress has already been made by science along this line, it is as yet only embryonic in nature. And only when the hierarchy is present visibly on earth, and the mysteries of which the masters are the custodians are given openly to man, will the true secret and nature of electrical phenomena be revealed. The mysteries are in reality the true source of revelation, blah, 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 blah. But it just goes on and on. So yeah, this is straight off the Lucis Trust website that I found it, but, so yeah, kind of sent me on this fun little rabbit trail here. Here's another crazy quote. The mysteries contain, within their formulas and teachings, the key to the science which will unlock the mystery of electricity, the greatest spiritual science and area of divine knowledge in the world, the fringes of which have only just been touched. That's from The Reappearance of the Christ by Alice Bailey, page 123. LucisTrust.org, the electric bridge / the electric gods. So this is the electric gods, crisis and revelation in astrophysics. Okay, I'm just going to read some of this because this will trip you out. So this is by Lawrence Newey, I believe it says at the bottom. Reprinted from The Beacon magazine, April-June 2008 issue. Okay, so this is 2008, but so this is presumably some occult theosophist expert. I don't know who Lawrence Newey is, but anyways. One of the main premises of the ageless wisdom teachings as given to the world by Helena Blavatsky and Alice Bailey is that electromagnetism is the fundamental source and cause of all phenomena on every plane of manifestation, subtle and gross. This necessarily includes the physical plane, and as such, this premise varies widely from that of standard gravity-based astrophysics. In fact, an ever-increasing catalog of problems exists for the conventional sciences as 96% of the matter and energy needed to support the standard theory of the universe's birth and functioning is missing. Exotic varieties of so-called dark matter and dark energy have been theorized to account for this, but to date, these hypothetical phenomena still exist solely in the minds and mathematical equations of astrophysicists. In order to maintain the principal cornerstones of their gravity-only model, i.e. the Big Bang, general relativity, black holes, and an expanding universe, astrophysicists need ever more complex theories. And meanwhile, space telescopes are sending infrared, ultraviolet, and X-ray evidence that is making the standard theory more and more untenable. The crisis in astrophysics is a welcome one from the angle of spiritual philosophy, for its complex and erroneous view of the universe and man's position in it needs updating to reflect the elegant synthesis of reality. The notion of a cold, sterile universe inimical to life, where galaxies, suns, and planets spin in isolation, has reflected man's self-absorbed materialistic consciousness down the ages. But today our steadily shifting perception towards universal brotherhood and interconnectedness is reflected in a new awareness of the electromagnetic nature of the universe. In a treatise on cosmic fire, we are told that, quote, all physical phenomena, as we understand the term, have an electrical origin and an initial vibration on the first subplane of the physical plane. We find echoes of this great truth in the words of plasma scientists Wallace Thornhill and David Talbot. From the smallest particle to the largest galactic formation, a web of electrical circuitry connects and unifies all of nature, organizing galaxies, energizing stars, giving birth to planets, and, on our own world, controlling weather and animating biological organisms. There are no isolated islands in an electric universe. Wow, do you guys see how much it just ties right into pantheism? Like, insanely. This eloquent description of the nature of reality parallels the concept of Fohat found in esoteric science. Helena Blavatsky describes Fohat as, quote, personified electric vital power, the transcendental binding unity of all cosmic energies, on the unseen as on the manifested planes. On the earthly plane, his influence is felt in the magnetic and active force generated by the strong desire of the magnetizer. On the cosmic, it is present in the constructive power that carries out, in the formation of things, from the planetary system down to the glowworm and simple daisy, the plan in the mind of nature, or in the divine thought, with regard to the development and growth of that special thing. He is, metaphysically, the objectivized thought of the gods, the word made flesh, quote, on a lower scale, and the messenger of cosmic and human ideations, the active force in universal life. So, okay. In the stanzas of Zion, wow, that form the first part of the secret doctrine, the truth is beautifully encapsulated in the following occult phraseology that speaks directly to the intuition. Fohat, the swift son of the divine sons, runs circular errands. Interesting. He is the steed, and the thought is the rider. I.e., he is under the influence of their guided thought. He passes like lightning through the fiery clouds, the cosmic mists, takes 3 and 5 and 7 strides through the 7 regions above and the 7 below. He lifts his voice and calls the innumerable sparks, or atoms, and joins them together. In light of the above, an electric model of the universe would be a welcome step towards a rapprochement between esoteric and exoteric science, and it is therefore encouraging to learn of the pioneering work of plasma cosmologists. Their contention that we live in an electric universe is based on the fact that plasma makes up 99% of it. Plasma generally being described as a sea of charged particles called electrons and ions that react collectively to forces exerted by electric and magnetic fields. While typically described as an ionized or electrically conductive gas, plasma is also considered to be a distinct and fundamental state of matter. Because it is often found in the form of ionized gas, it seems reasonable to speculate that this conductive medium provides an interface between the etheric levels of the physical plane and the gaseous states of matter. Through this mass of electrically charged particles, cosmic ideas in the form of galaxies, suns, and planets are enabled to make the last stage of their descent from the archetypal planes into the light of day. This process is described in occult terms and symbols in the stanzas of Zion, on which the first book of the secret doctrine, Cosmogenesis, is based, and continued in a treatise on cosmic fire. Here, the awe-inspiring beauty and detail of the work of the celestial hierarchies that bring the manifested worlds into being are revealed to the intuitive mind. I'll get into what an intuitive mind really means later. Through precipitation and diversification, from one state of solidification to another, from the unknowable and eternal through steadily lowered vibrational rates, they work until the precipitating idea eventually reaches that minute bandwidth of the electromagnetic spectrum that science can observe and measure. A cosmic idea thus transits across the borderline between the esoteric, etheric realms and the exoteric, gaseous realms to form the various phenomena of deep space that are recognizable to the orthodox scientists of today. And then they show, interestingly enough, some diagrams of a typical Birkeland current in the central Z-pinch region, a cylindrical volume inside the spiral where the extreme compression of matter can take place. Man, so, I mean, it goes on and on. But, I was going to read the last paragraph too, maybe, because it kind of sums it up. Okay. Through the pioneering work of plasma cosmologists, mainstream scientists is on the threshold of acknowledging the electrical processes that build, sustain, and transmute the visible universe. So that also ties into, the whole holographic universe idea, right? And this will be a positive step forward from its current view of the universe as a tomb of dead, lifeless matter that exploded into being out of nothing and is still expanding in all directions at an accelerating rate without aim or purpose. The concrete scientific mind is now contacting the abstract realms of thought, but is in need of the guiding light of the intuition to reveal a simplified, more synthetic view of the universe as an organism with a set of stable form and constituted of living conscious substance. There's pantheism. Once again, one of the tasks of the esotericist is to construct a bridge of reason between exoteric and esoteric science. So there we go. I mean, you're seeing it right there, the spirit science idea, bringing them both together. This is the task of the esotericist, uniting esoteric and exoteric science, right there. As an electric view of the universe and the spiraling forces that construct it are taken into mainstream scientific thinking, the esoteric perspective may become more accessible. For esoteric science is based on the purposeful electric drive of divine will, contacting substance and accelerating its inherent rotary motion. The love aspect of divinity directs this motion into spiraling cyclic movement on whose foundation forms all shapes and sizes are built. From the myriads of spirali that make up the atom to the kundalini force that rises in the awakening human being as a caduceus of electrical power, the spiraling proceeds. The elegant beauty of this divine process is to be noted exoterically in the double helix of DNA and the long spiraling filaments of plasma in deep space. These correspondences all provide a rich field for contemplation, the very act of which will help further precipitate the great truth that is descending from the, quote, rain cloud of knowledgeable things into human consciousness at that time that space is an electrical entity. Anyways, it could go on, but there's actually tons of stuff just even found in the Lucis Trust website and the writings of Blavatsky and Alice Bailey. So the whole point, part of me was a little bit hesitant to actually read some of this because this is straight up, I don't just read from people like Blavatsky or Bailey or other people who are, they're being taught straight from the doctrines of demons, absolutely. I pray that as I'm doing this, that I'm very conscious of the fact that this is the kind of material that is going to be very enticing to a number of people and very intriguing, and I'm definitely not trying to get anybody sucked into this garbage, but at the same time, I went ahead and did this because I want people to see, because so much of the time, you still get all this pushback from people that they get absolutely offended by the suggestion that the powers that be, the New World Order occultists, are at the core believing all the same New Age pantheistic lies that is so prevalent within the quote-unquote truth movement. And I think this right here, just like, once again, so many people don't even know about theosophy and don't even know about Lucis Trust, and there's no reason not to, because there's so much research that has been done on the topic. And like you said, like their books, Externalization of the Hierarchy, is you can just go out and it lays out the whole plan for the whole New World Order plan. It's there's nothing hidden about it. It's just in your face. The revelation of the mysteries, the ancient mysteries. Oh, you think they're hiding it from you? Do you know, if you know anything about Lucis Trust, and which was originally Lucifer's Trust, and its involvement in the creation of the United Nations and so much more, it's this is not anything that is against the New World Order system. This is the religion of the so-called elites. This is the religion of the people, of the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all the powers that should not be. This is what they believe. The hierarchy that they're talking about, hopefully you know who that is, okay? But if you are able to look at this with discernment and understand it from the biblical, exposition, the biblical perspective, it all falls right into line. I mean, this is amazing in a sense that, okay, yeah, here we all are having this awakening and learning about how gravity's a total bunk and the electric universe idea, and there's something to this, there's some reality to this, but then at the same time, it continually is kind of in various ways drawing people back into the esoteric and drawing people back into the occult. Do you know Blavatsky was in the 1800s? Alice Bailey was in the earliest 20th century. They were writing about the electric universe, and they were the secrets of the electricity. The mystery of electricity was being written how many decades ago? See, the fallen angels have known about all this stuff for a long, long time. They created the lies of gravity and so many of the things that are part of mainstream astrophysics, but doesn't mean that they didn't know. Yet they're the ones who occulted so much of the true information about how the cosmos works, so that they would have that quote-unquote secret mysteries to reveal back. You know what I mean? So it's like you hide something and cover it up with lies, only to then be able to then play the savior and play the enlightener, when it's you were the one covering it up to begin with. You were the one, taking this knowledge that God gave them as part of their original estate, and using it as this carrot on a stick for humanity, and using this as a way of polluting and corrupting the world, and creating civilizations and empires that would worship them rather than worship God. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and now this is all part of the final play. But yeah, it's all right there. And yeah, they're openly telling you about the Masonic rites and the Masonic. Yeah, and even that, it's just it's a gateway in many ways, right? I mean, if you there's no excuses for people that try and say that this, pantheistic monism and the quote unquote wisdom of the ages is that's different from what the Masons and the Jesuits and all of these people teach. No, it's not. No, it's not. If anything, I mean, look at all the people who got honorary Masonic degrees, like Blavatsky, like Manly P. Hall, like Aleister Crowley. Okay, why were those people able to just be? Why do people like that suddenly get, fast-tracked all the way to the top? Why do they go straight to the top of the organization? Because they already understand what it's all about. Because they're deep occultists. Because that's what it's all trying to filter people towards and baby step them towards, layer by layer. But if you're already like neck deep in it, if you're already swimming with the demons, then you don't need all the like slow gradual initiations. You can just get fast tracked and get all the degrees you want because you already know what it's all about. Anyways, the mystery of electricity. Hopefully this is just very sobering to people to realize that yes, just because there's a mainstream narrative that has to do with gravity and the Copernican system and all that, just because there's an alternative. I mean, here we are back at the Hegelian dialectic again, right? Once again, now used on a cosmological scale. So you play one off the other, Tesla versus Edison, right? It's the same tactic. They've used it so many times. Satan has used it so many. It's his favorite tactic, right? You divide people into two camps and they're both based on lies. Well, in this camp, I mean, yes, there is something to electrical phenomena being key to the, very key underlying force of which so much of creation works. But take it and turn it into one of the mysteries, one of the secrets to be unveiled by the hierarchy, and then that's a tool of Satan. So it's something to just kind of make a mental note of, put on your radar, that just because the whole world could en masse come to the realization that Einstein and gravity is all bunk science, and that doesn't mean that we'd be free. That doesn't mean that the enemy couldn't totally use it to just plunge people deeper into deception and in darkness. I guess that's the takeaway. Don't be fooled by by simple polarized differences, superficial opposing sides, right? Because it's an old trick.